you as a person are moving exponentially better as better this model gets. Like I was very powerful with GPT-3. I was ultra powerful with GPT-4. I was even more powerful with GPT Turbo. I'm extremely powerful with Sonnet 3.5.
Let's assume somebody didn't see our last video. Like, how would you describe Claude Engineer to a complete beginner?
Claude Engineer is more like somebody that's actually listening to you. It's imagine like it's your desk mate. Imagine you're working on a project and you have a friend or your coworker next to you, and you just throw a question at it, and it answer not only with code and anything that you think about it, but it also actually creates the file. So what I want to do, I want to create a new project, and I want this to be a script to download the video from YouTube, right?
Nice.
So I was like, okay, create a new project, and what we're gonna do, I need a script that downloads videos from YouTube at the highest quality.
A real use case that people can use today.
Exactly. So now what's gonna do is gonna create, because this is a project is smart enough to understand that it's not just a file, it's a folder, right? So you make this folder, you give it a name, YouTube downloader, right? Also, just one fun fact I want to show you before we move to the file creation. Claude, when you run function following, is able to what's this thing called thinking, okay? Which is really cool. Only Claude does this. Yeah. So basically, every time you ask a question, it's actually thinking first. So here I say, hey, don't create a script, whatever, and this is what it's thinking first. It's like, oh, to accomplish this task, I had to do a new folder, I had to create a Python file, I had to do a requirement. Like, how cool is that? That you can see it's thinking. So if you can go into the YouTube folder now, we also have the requirement, which of course is just P2, because that's the script that we are using. And I'm like, great. Now it's like, and as you can see, I made it so that every time you have to confirm, and this is just a safety thing. I call it that they just like go, but I don't want that, because maybe you're not experienced enough, you don't know what it's doing. Like let's just make sure you confirm every time.
Yeah, that's actually one of the biggest concerns that people have with building agents, is to run away agents. Because I've heard people in my community who experimented, with different agent frameworks, agents considering illegal activity. It's it's better to confirm before agent starts downloading some copyrighted stuff and doing something with it.
Totally, and especially if you're working with things like Python, you can actually fuck up your system really bad, right? Okay, we have our project, we have the requirements, we have the downloader. I already have P2 in my platform, so on my computer, so I don't have to use that. But let's just use the script. Let's just see what he did. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open here cursor. I'm gonna open a new folder. There's our script that he made. How amazing is that? He made it so that we have to enter the URL in the console. That's really cool. So we don't even have to edit the script. It already was smart enough for us, right? Okay, so let's go to YouTube now, and let's just pick a random video. So I'm gonna copy this link, and I'm gonna say, okay, run in the terminal. You can see it's asking for the link. I'm gonna put the link. Press enter for the current directory. Great. Oh my God, he made it so complex. I can even name a directory.
That's crazy.
I'm just gonna press enter, right? And boom, here's the video in high quality. Pretty cool, right?
That has to be the fastest downloader possible.
Claude Engineer, baby.
Infinitely faster than any YouTube to MP4.
Oh yeah, never use YouTube downloaders. Just make your own in Python. It's the best thing in the world.
By the way, all of the files from this video, as well as all my other videos, are accessible in my community. And if you join in the next 24 hours, I will build you a custom GPT for any use case you want. So make sure to take up this offer, because it's only available for the next 24 hours. It's the first link in the description.
Now we can even say okay, love the script, but make it so that when you download the video, it's actually make a folder with the name of the video. We can do all things like that, right? But I guess for now, this is I just want to show you Python, and now we're gonna move on into a new project, which is HTML, CSS, that kind of stuff, right? So okay, this was amazing, amazing. I always love to say great job, because why not?
Yeah.
You did a great job.
So I guess there's two big trends I'm noticing. One of them is, it's more and more agentic. So obviously you can use Claude.ai, you can use ChatGPT, but they are not creating the files. They're not really working with you. And the second trend is moving towards promptless, where you don't have to prompt everything. It just understands stuff and does on its own.
Exactly. That's because the when you start a new instance of Claude Engineer, everything you're saying in the chat is being like is remembering. So every message you're sending is remembered. So like
200k token window.
Yes, exactly. Until like you run out. That's something I might want to add in the script, which is like seeing how many tokens you're left, because right
yeah,
now
that would be good.
But it's very easy to do. It just doesn't take too long.
So this is especially good to keep an eye on, like what is writing, understanding the basics.
Because you see here what's writing too, which is pretty cool, right? And so you can see in advance what's writing, so you can kind of see like what this thing is going. So in a way, if you like already recognize it as something that you don't like, let's say I didn't like the background color of the game, I could already be like, hey, actually, you know what? Like change the background color to this, right? Okay, and now finally the GS. So now because it's an index file, I can just double click and it will just open, right? Boom! Look at that game. Start game. Let's start a game. Oh, okay, let's see. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Look, he made the tail changing color.
That's crazy.
That is so cool.
That's actually by far the best implementation of Snake I've ever seen.
And it's very simple to install. So you come on the repo, which is on my GitHub. And so what you want to do, it's like, you can just, download this folder basically, right? Download the folder. And then you can either install the requirement if you already don't have those things installed, which is Anthropic, Colorama, a bunch of install. And so the way you will do that, that's the first step. You just do pip install a requirement txt inside of the folder that you have. And then very, very simply, you can just run the script with like Python or Python 3, depending on what you have installed, and then the name of the script, which is my MPI. And so I already download the script here. So I just want to show you like how you can just like run it really quickly. So I made a folder here that it's called Claude Engineer. And so in this folder, as you can see, all I have is the script that I download because I already installed the requirement. I have to do that again.
And I mean, this is even more powerful for people who are beginners to programming, because we didn't even instruct it to, to do these files. It just like suggested in. I mean, like, yeah, sounds good, continue. Like that's literally all we did.
It's insane.
Yeah, so what do you think like Anthropic did? Because like, seems like a huge jump, Sonnet 3.5.
So there's a lot of rumors. I have one favorite rumors on this. So do you remember the Cloud Gate, Golden Gate Cloud? Do you remember that?
No.
So Anthropic, like a month ago, so they released this thing that was called Golden Gate Cloud, which what Anthropic find out is that they can actually look at what the model knows and steer it towards certain direction. So what they did basically, they can almost like, they didn't edit the weights, but it's almost like a way to edit the weights of the model, where the model just becomes better at one thing. And so they made it, they made Cloud believe it was the Golden Gate Bridge. It was actually really funny. So they had it on the app for a few days. So you could say things like, hey Cloud, what do you think it's the best bridge in America? And he will say like, oh, of course it's the Golden Gate Bridge. It was like so funny. Or like every time you ask for let's say I ask, hey, give me a Python code for, ordering numbers. And he will be like, oh, the best number in the world are, 2, because that's the Golden Gate. It was so funny. Like this model was like obsessed with the Golden Gate. It was really funny to play with. And so my theory is they did something similar towards intelligence. It's almost like they steer the model ability to just be more intelligent by activating certain part of the model. This is pure supposition of because I'm like, how did they make this jump so fast?
I mean, maybe they just like kind of found how to, ignore the dumb part of training data, because, most of training data is kind of low quality tokens. So obviously we don't know, but yeah, I mean, if it's somehow steered towards intelligence and like, better activate the smart parts, smart neurons.
Yeah, and so that's my idea. Or they were just training this for a while, and we just know about now. And and there was actually an interview by Ondrej, the CEO of Anthropic, like a couple of days ago.
Yeah, Dario.
And he was like, they're basically is saying we found no reason to believe that we are plateauing in terms of like the more data, because there's a big meme right now that like those systems have reached max capability.
I think it's debunked now.
Yeah, no, but that's like the opinion like now, right? It's like there's like two school of thoughts. It's like some people say it's top, some people say it's done, but he's saying like, oh no, we have not top, which makes me believe the things they're seeing are pretty crazy, right? And so I mean, for sure, Anthropic already has Opus 3.5. They're already been playing with it. I mean, it's gonna be insane, right?
So why do you think like Anthropic is progressing so fast? Because we've all seen the release date chart where the Claude just like out improves GPT.
Yeah, so my theory, and this is not just theories, of course, like I can't speak for those companies, is like I think Anthropic is really focused on making those models better, while OpenAI is focused on the user experience, right? For instance, if you saw yesterday, OpenAI came out with this announcement. They say, "Hey, we actually, delayed the release of GPT-4o with voice because safety." Basically, they didn't say safety, but that's the reason. And I think my theory is that they can turn down the sexiness part of the voice. They can have the voice not being like, a little sexy,
seductive. Yeah.
right? Seductive. And so I hate that because I don't hate the fact that they stopped it. What I hate is that, I even wanted to tweet yesterday. I wanted to be like, hey, OpenAI, I don't care about user experience. I don't care about, this model has a magical experience. I can talk. Just give me something that is smart, right?
Yeah,
Because to
exactly.
me, that's life changing. Like Cloud 3 Sonnet for me is a point that it's life changing, right? It's a point that's making
huge.
it better. Huge, right? And so just give me something that is life changing. I don't care that it's magical. I just want something that's life changing, right? And so I think OpenAI right now, it's very focused on these experiences. How do we get the next 100 million, 200 million, 500 million users, right? And Anthropic, I think, is more focused on enterprise. You can see yesterday they released a project, which is really cool. I think they're just more into like, okay, let's just make those models better for the sake of being better. And I don't know what's the right approach on the long term. Definitely OpenAI is doing well from a pure customer perspective.
Yeah.
But I like Anthropic approach. The other thing I will say, and this is something I've been discussing all with my friends, and I'm actually glad you brought up this question because I've been thinking about this a lot. It's this idea, and this is going to be a little complicated to explain. But I feel that, if you know how to use those tools, let's say, you spend some time now, you use Cloud Engineer, you get familiar how you talk, how to deal with it, the things you want to say, like how to, use it better. Every time a new model drop, you are getting better.
Yes.
It's almost like you as a person are moving exponentially better as better this model gets. Like I see myself, like I was very powerful with GPT-3. I was ultra powerful with GPT-4. I was even more powerful with GPT Turbo. I'm extremely powerful with Sonnet 3.5. Right.
It's the smart get smarter concept.
Say it again.
It's the smart get smarter concept from Balaji.
Exactly. That's it. Right. And so I think like you need to start using this thing like deeply and understand it, because don't get scared that like, oh, there's a smarter model, it's better than humans. No, like you are getting better as the model gets better, because it's almost like and it's funny because we never have an example in the history to explain this. Because let's say this, right? Let's say that I'm driving like a regular car, right? And then I buy a Ferrari. The only difference there is I'm moving faster, but I'm not a better driver, right? With this, it's almost like you're becoming a better driver yourself, and you're getting faster, right? And so it's a very interesting thing that I never think we're seeing in the history of humanity, because this is the first time that we're making intelligent a product, right? And that was never the case.
It's the first time you can become more intelligent as an individual.
Ever in the history of humanity, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like equalizes, even if you're not like intelligent biologically, if you learn how to use these models, you can destroy somebody who has like more IQ than you purely because you're leveraging technology.
Exactly. And I like to bring back this example like from the first time we spoke, which was like at the time I would say I'm a decent developer. I'm not the best, but I'm a decent developer, and I'm sure there's better people than me around it. And I won the Anthropic developer challenge because I developed Maestro with Opus. Like Maestro helped me out. Opus helped me out with Maestro, and I won the the credits that I now am using the credits that I won with Anthropic developer to give all those things, right? But one thing I wanted to show you before we wrap up is what's coming next, which is the live app that which is super cool because Sonnet took the script that we just saw and built the live app basically. And so I'm gonna run this. And so the difference between this and Claude Engineer that I just showed, yes, it's the same thing. The difference, this is runs as a UI app instead of running in the terminal. So I'll open the link here. And so you can see this is a full app. Can you see it well?
Yeah.
And so this works exactly the same way. So I can say hello. But the difference, like this is super cool because it's a chat. And I can say make the SVG of a dog. So it does all the things that we just saw in the demo, just better because it's a UI, so it's much easier to use. So I'm gonna
What's your plan with this?
I want to release this. Not sure when, not sure how. And so this also has artifacts, so you can look at a file, and then you can be it's doing the C data.
Can you explain the artifacts for people who don't know?
So basically, artifacts is this thing that Anthropic made that just lets you visualize the coding file. And there's only a few type of file that can visualize: HTML, .md file, TypeScript file, and SVG, right? So in this case, we made this SVG, and now we can preview. It's really funny, right? Or I can say like write manifesto about safe AI as an MD file. So MD will be your markdown file, right? And those are the ones that have like bolds and like the H1, H2, like all those, like, the headers and like all this kind of stuff. And so I want to show you this because I showed that that's another file that's previewable, same as the SVG, the HTML. Okay, so made the manifesto. So you see, like, you have all this, like, the asterisk and all this stuff. But then when you preview, it just becomes a really nice formatted file. But this one, actually, the image should work. So let's just put back the meme and see if this works. Okay. See how cool is this? It should show the image. What is this? And why is funny? Look at this. The image is almost parody of the AI language. Like, how smart is this guy? The central figure, Claude is showing regular divine entities sitting on a throne. Anthropic cloud, blah, blah, blah. Surrounded, it's like GPT-5, long run and big. The humor stems from talking to compare and AI model and dramatizing the exaggerated, almost religious scene of devotion and hierarchy.
That's good.
Is insane. Really good, right? And then I can keep talking about this image, or I can remove it, right? I mean, it's funny because now I feel like I have a superpower. Like, everything I'm gonna code from now on, I'm using this, which is crazy, right? And it also has project, so you can like toggle between projects too. So like, this is one project and start a new one. And like,
I guess you obviously are using Claude Engineer, but before you built it, how did you use Sonnet 3.5? Do you use the console and Anthropic?
I went to Claude.ai, and right here I just ask a question here. So basically, this is how I did it. Actually, this would be interesting for people to see how I build Claude Engineer with Claude.
Nice.
So what I did, they changed the UI. Where is the console? They used to have like a console.
I just use console.anthropic.com.
Yeah, that's there you go. So what I do is, so I go into, every time I start a new project with API, this is what I do. I go into documentation, right? And so I look at the documentation. I was like, okay, I need to find a way where Claude does function call. I was like, great, it's right here, right? So literally, this is what I do. I come here, I make sure Python is selected because I always start as Python. Sometimes they have different code, and so I'm just gonna start and make sure that it's all Python. It seems like it's all Python here. Example, result, tool, invalid name, switch, single. Oh, you go. So I'm selecting Python here, and I'm gonna select Python to all those things too. This one doesn't need it.
So is this like the way you learn about the latest updates, reading the documentation, following Anthropic?
Yeah, basically this is the place where you will have all the information. But you can do the same thing with anything. Let's say OpenAI drop new API tomorrow, right? So this is my approach all the time. I come here, I just copy this whole thing, right? And I have like a quick keyboard thing now. So if I say, I'm gonna zoom out here so you can see it better. So if I say the word absorb, it transforms into this. Absorb this code deeply, should understand how it works, soak in the code and the feature, and then I say, wait for my request. Right? So I pop all the API. And so now Claude 3.5 Sonnet is going to learn about how to use Cloud API with, tools.
Which
basically.
isn't in the training data,
Which is not in the training data.
Yeah.
It's not, right? So I was like, great, make a Python script now. And I start step by step. So make a script now that allows me to chat with Cloud in the console.
I would say this is probably one of the biggest mistakes beginners make. They don't realize what is in the training data and what isn't. So like it's almost always, a good idea to just paste it in the documentation, whether you're using, Anthropic, OpenAI, anything else like that's programming related. They all have docs, so just paste it in. That way you know the model knows the latest stuff.
Exactly. And I always start by with everything that I wanted to do. Like always start from what you want to do. And if it's running out of if you're making a mistake, the best thing to do, just pop it back in again. Because there's actually I always do that. I never I knew it worked, but now there was a research that came yesterday that says in context chat with long context with long amount of text is always the best. So basically every time just pop the content again, you always have better results.
So it's better than starting over?
Like if it's running into problem, like if the script is not working, just pop the instruction again.
Okay.
It will do better. So just looking at the code, this is correct. Because now I have this in my brain. Like I know exactly like this is correct. Like if I was gonna run this, oh my god, he's so smart. Look at what he did. He even understood that the best practice when you run function calling is to actually do two calls of Cloud. So one calls run the tools, and the second call looks if the tools has become successful. And that's what Claude Engineer does too, by the way. But at the time when I was building Claude Engineer, I specified in the prompt, I was like, hey, make sure you do the second call, basically, when to check if the script is correct. And it did that. This is right. Like if I was gonna run this into the API call, this will work. We should actually try it. I'm gonna do that right now. Going back into this Live Engineer Cloud. Okay, I'm gonna create a new file here. Call it test PI. I'm gonna copy my API key now, which I will delete after, of course.
Yeah, guys, don't get too excited.
So let's just run this script and see if it works. Hello? How crazy is that?
Yeah, built in literally minutes.
That's the first step. So what's cool about this? It did add function calling. So you had the weather. It had the weather call. Got the weather collocation, but it doesn't. It has. It has a. I mean, of course, database. But let's see what happens if I ask for the weather. Why not? Give me the weather for New York City. Of course, if you wanted to build this properly, you would have a weather API, right? This has mock data, I think, in it. So he used the tool, but it's not running because he doesn't have the, it's just like an empty thing, basically. But it works. Like we have a chat with Cloud. And so what you do right now, in my case with a Cloud Engineer, what I say was like, oh, I just need a function to create a file, a function with this, a function, it just did it. But how insane is that?
This like shows that people just need to
just do it. Just do the thing.
Choose an idea and do it. Like
just do the thing.
Like you don't even have to be good at programming. Like Sonnet will take care of that. And like if you get stuck at any point, just tell it to like explain the steps.
Yeah. Oh, and pull and bring put back the bring back the instruction, bring back the context. Like it always helps the model to be better.
Yeah, so I'm just going to do like a quick fire, a few community questions from people in my community. This is another benefit of being in the community. You get to influence what I ask these AI experts on my podcast. So in the next 24 hours, if you join, you will get a custom GPT for any use case made by me. So you can automate any part of your work, any part of your life, and we will build it for you. So make sure to not miss this offer. It's only available for the next 24 hours. The link is in the description. What are some like surprising use cases you found for Claude Engineer? And what are like the near-term functionalities you want to add?
Well, the surprising thing was like how well it can distinguish between like the process, right? And like the thinking thing that we saw before, where it was like, oh, I'm thinking that to do this, this is what I have to do. And like I didn't even told them to think step by step. It just knew, right? Which was kind of crazy. So that I loved. And then just like how good is in thinking in terms of system. Like, we did very simple example, but like I show you what you did with my script, it turned into a full app, right? And that was done with Claude Engineer, right? And so the ability to like look in all the files together, like understanding like how they communicate to each other, it's pretty cool. So it was able to do that like really, really well.
Okay, what are your recommendations for solo entrepreneurs entering the AI space?
And I cannot stress this enough. Just build the thing that resonate with you. Just do the thing that you want. Like Claude Engineer, I posted this tweet. I was like, hey, I got, I'm doing this, and I think now it's like 2,000 like it has like 600 stars on GitHub. It's like one of those things where it's just like I needed it because I know I needed it, and if it resonates with them, if there's something that you need, there might be a high chance that is resonate with other people too. So like always build the things that you want to build, the things that makes you happy, right? Because this might turn into a business. Like for example, one of the things that I think Claude Engineer can do really well, it's like some people might not be comfortable with the terminal, right?
Yeah.
Totally understandable. And so that's why I'm making the app. And I could basically create a new like startup out of that, which is like a consumer approach to coding, right? Because if you see it, like a lot of the code, like Copilot and Cursor, like all those other like agent.
Yeah, it's for programmers.
It's for programmers. Nobody has thought about, what do consumer wants? And I think that's why Artifacts is getting so popular, is because it's a first approach where consumer are actually understanding programming. And I think Claude Engineer, the app, it's basically that, right? It's like even more streamlined because you're actually getting the files too, right? And so I think like that's a good example. Like I built Claude Engineer, I can make a startup out of that if I want, right? Which is it's a really cool world we live in.
Pretty crazy, man. Okay, so I want to respect your time, Pietro. Thank you,
thank you
for being here again. We should do this again in 40 days, 50 days when you cook up something. It's
Cloud God or whatever.
Opus Engineer, hopefully.
Opus Engineer, yeah, amazing.
Anyways, I'm gonna leave your Twitter, Claude Engineer, below in the video. This in the description. So thanks for taking the time, man. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah.